Tonight's big story. Senate Minority Leader Koko Pimentel is set to file a Supreme Court petition against the 2024 budget, particularly over the 400 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds added at the BICAM.
Cases of firecracker-related injuries continue to pile up and are now the highest in 6 years.
And we'll be sitting down with cycling and mobility advocate Buji Babiera, who recently won the Notable Storyteller Prize at the 2023 National Bike Day Awards later on.
Welcome to the show. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Danny Laurel.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Let's kick off tonight with Senate Minority Leader Koko Pimentel eyeing to file a petition before the Supreme Court questioning this year's national budget. Specifically, Pimentel is questioning the over 400 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds added by the bicameral committee into the country's spending plan. These unprogrammed funds are usually allocated for programs that are not prioritized. These programs, though, are still unidentified, and the allocation can only be released if government still has excess funds. Under the Budget Department's original National Expenditures Program, only 282 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds were initially recommended by the President. But during the BICAM conference, lawmakers from the House and Senate added some 450 billion pesos in unprogrammed appropriations before the budget bill was submitted to the President. This brought the total unprogrammed funds to over 730 billion pesos, more than double the initial proposal.
Now, Pimentel notes that this is the third year that Congress has inserted additional unprogrammed funds into the national budget. The Senate Minority Leader says he is now in talks with a House lawmaker to file a petition against this move before the Supreme Court. He argues that the additional appropriation is a clear violation of the Constitution.
Ang masama rito sa practice na ito, dapat if there are funds available and there are important expenditures of government, hindi ba ang karapat dapat na gawin ay mag-request na lang ng supplemental budget? So parang nasi-circumvent din yung idea na supplemental budget. So meron palang mahalagang gagastusan. Meron naman palang available na pera. Bakit natin ilalagay ngayon sa unprogram at gagawin mong conditional na kung merong available na pera? The proper way, kung meron talagang available na pera, the proper way to do it is to enact a supplemental budget.
But as early as now, some lawmakers are already defending the budget. Brian Basa has the details on that. Brian, ano na naman ang argument ng kabilang side, and what happens if the Supreme Court does end up declaring the entire 2024 budget as unconstitutional?
Hi, Sean. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Joey Salcedo says there's nothing illegal with their decision to increase the unprogrammed funds. Salcedo says they inquired about it with the Budget Department. The agency clarified the unprogrammed appropriations are not part of the fiscal program. Salcedo argues only programmed appropriations are subject to Article 6, Section 25 of the Constitution. This prohibits the increase of appropriations recommended by the President. Salcedo adds the DBM said Congress can increase the unprogrammed appropriations as proposed. Senator Pimentel targets to file a case against the national budget as soon as possible. If Pimentel wins, the Supreme Court may deem the entire 2024 budget as unconstitutional, or only the 450 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds in question. If the entire 2024 budget is deemed unconstitutional, then the government may implement a reenacted budget, which means the allocation for 2023 will be followed. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Brian Basa.
In other news, the National Security Council has announced a major victory in its fight against insurgency. The council said the New People's Army is now in its weakest state and, in their words, has been, quote, strategically defeated. National security officials, including the NTF-LCAC, told the media today that the NPA no longer has active guerrilla fronts nationwide, and all that's left for dismantling are 14 weakened guerrilla units. The NTF-LCAC is now focusing their attention on clearing operations in previously affected areas.
The more difficult part actually is sustaining our peace gains. Meron tayong roadmap na clean up natin. wherein we would be shifting our focus from a campaign that is more focused on security to a peace and development campaign, more focused in unity, establishing peace, and introducing sustainable development in all the communities.
So does this mean smooth sailing for the exploratory talks between the government and communist rebels? Well, not exactly. The NSC took offense on the Communist Party of the Philippines' 55th founding anniversary message, where in this message the group said it needed, quote, rectification in carrying out its movement. The group said it needed to strengthen its ideologies and organization on the basis of Marxist, Lenin, and Maoist beliefs, as preached by its late founder, Joma Sison. NSC Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya said this can be construed as a form of regrouping on the rebels' side, which could hamper talks.
Kung babasahin po natin yung naging pahayag ng CPP-NPA, sila ay determinado pa rin to regroup and rebuild what remains of its forces, while the National Security Council and the NTF-ELCA are hopeful and optimistic of the exploratory talks. We cannot turn a blind eye to the CPP's anniversary statement. While we support the exploratory talks, its success will entirely depend on the sincerity, truthfulness, and commitment of the CPP-NPA-NDF towards achieving a peace settlement and ending armed hostilities.
Joining us tonight to talk about this victory for counterinsurgency efforts is AFP Spokesperson Colonel Medel Aguilar. Colonel, maraming salamat sa pag-alok or pag-join sa amin tonight. Happy New Year po.
Thank you also for inviting me, Ms. Gretchen, Sean, and Danny. And likewise, Happy New Year to you three, to the three of you, and to all your viewers.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Colonel. Colonel, what do we make of this? Does this mean na nasugpo na talaga natin ang CPP, NBA, NDF, and we can now move on and focus on external security? What's the next step moving forward for the AFP?
Just to clarify first, there remains 13 weakened guerrilla fronts. When I say weakened, they don't have enough personnel, armaments, and resources to undertake programs that will enable them to recruit new members, generate resources, establish united front in order to topple the government.
But Colonel,
Now, there still remains a strength of more or less 1,500. And this means that we still have to look for them and, if possible, to encourage them to return to the folds of the law.
Right. Colonel, having said that, naglabas kasi ng rectification message yung CPP, NPA. I'm sure you've read it already. What do we make of this? Do you think this is just a simple reaction to the Christmas Day offensive in Malaybalay, Bukidnon? Or are they really calling for a, renewed rebellion?
I'm not sure what is in their mind, but what I'm sure of is that they have already admitted the mistakes that they have committed for the past years, resulting to the weakening of their forces. Now, the other statements are just rhetorics of what they usually say during anniversary celebrations. So we don't care at all what they say, but because as far as the military is concerned, we will continue with our focused military operation. We will secure the implementation of the retooled community support programs. We will support the implementation of localized peace engagements, the amnesty declaration, and including the enhanced comprehensive local integration program. All of this are aimed to win back those who can still win back. I am referring to the remaining members of the CPP, NPA, and NDF, which numbers now to more or less 1,500. So that's the goal of the AFP.
Ito, tama nga po si Sean, nabanggit niya kasi nung Christmas Day, the NPA called for a ceasefire they, on their side, yet the military did not honor that. They went on regular business and nagkaroon po ng casualties on their side. That happened after the welcoming of exploratory talks with the CPP-NPA. Hindi po ba dahil dito sa nangyari nung over the holidays, kaya rin napunta rito sa pagde-declare ng rectification movement by the Communist Party of the Philippines? Spokes?
Well, it's up to them what they want to do. But for us, again, let me state it clearly, that while this exploratory talks is going on, we will continue with our mission. Because for as long that there are armed men or illegal, people carrying illegal firearms, that will not create peace in our community. And our mission is to protect our people. And therefore, we have to defeat them. We have to suppress them. So let's see what will happen. We support the statement when the joint Oslo communique, because we see the vision there, which is about ending armed struggle, which is actually an act that is required from the CPP from the very start, because we know very well that armed struggle is not the solution to the problem that we are facing as a country.
Colonel, you said there's still around 1,500 forces, if you can call it that. And you mentioned you still need to look for them. What do you mean by that? Do you know specifically at least which areas, which provinces these remnants of the NPA are staying at?
Yes, ma'am. We know where they are deployed in general areas, but looking at, for them, hunting them one by one, will require some talents or some intelligence operation from us, so that we will be able to pinpoint the location and defeat them militarily if necessarily. So that is also the reason why we are also supporting this exploratory talks, because we hope that the CPP will be true to its commitment and sincerity to end armed struggle and to transform the organization into a political organization, meaning they are already abandoning the violent ways of effecting reforms in our country, which should be the case, because many countries around the world are also doing that.
Colonel, are you able to name the locations on air?
Yes, so we can tell you where they are, but for tactical considerations, because this will involve military operations, I will not divulge the names of these places. Say, for example, the ones in Samar area or the Eastern Visayas, in Panay Island, Northern Mindanao, North Central Mindanao, Northeastern Mindanao. So these are the areas that we are still considering to be to have remnants of the underground movement.
Colonel, what do you make of the third rectification movement statement? Is that a step back from the exploratory talks and a strengthening of the reorganization of the CPP? Ano pong tugon ng gobyerno dun po sa nangyari na 55th anniversary and their statement of the group?
We don't care about what they say in that statement, because for us, they are already strategically defeated. So probably it's just a statement. As I've said in one of my interviews before Christmas, what is left of the underground movement are good writers.
All right, but on the part of the government and the executive, Colonel, may bagong direktiba ba mula sa DND, mula sa NSC, or are we just business as usual and following the usual strategies that we have in the past?
we will continue what we are doing, and this is our constitutional duty, which is to protect our people and the state, because this armed group or these armed men are threatening the peace in our communities. Yes, they declared a unilateral ceasefire, but for us, it's nothing but it's a meaningless, it's a empty statement because they don't have that capability anymore. In fact, there is a vacuum in leadership within the CPP organization from the national down to its territorial units. And by that alone, I think a kind of decentralized operation can be resorted to make sure that we are able to defeat them militarily or convince them to return to our mainstream community.
All right, speaking of protection, Colonel, Reuters has reported on the second joint patrols with the United States. That's currently happening right now sa West Philippine Sea. What can you tell us about the second round of joint patrols? How is it different? And iba po ba yung areas na pinapatrol?
Okay, this joint patrol falls under the maritime cooperative activity between the United States and the Philippine government, and it involves naval assets from both sides. So right now we are deploying 4 vessels, and on the part of the United States, they have with them a carrier, an aircraft carrier, which is a big leap actually to the assets that they have deployed before. Now, since this is an umbrella program, it also involves other activities, which may include, say, for example, communication exercises, personnel transfer exercises, maneuvers, joint patrols, etc. So all of these activities are actually being carried out for the purpose of enhancing the interoperability of the two forces involved. It is important that we are able to communicate with each other, to conduct maneuvers with it, involving the two forces, and to make sure that the effectiveness of our collaborative efforts will be further enhanced.
Colonel, nabalitaan din po natin ngayong araw na meron daw 2 Chinese vessels that have been spotted. They are Navy vessels shadowing those exercises. Can you give us more information on that? And are these purely exercises? Are we going to see more of them? Regularity, perhaps? And more are all over the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, it's true that we have observed the presence of naval vessels from the People's Liberation Army conducting shadowing operation, but they just stayed from a distance, probably observing what we are doing and reporting to their government what they see. So to us, it's nothing but we will just continue with our program activities with our counterparts.
All right, and what's next in terms of joint operations in the West Philippine Sea? Can we expect more of these drills to come this year, 2024?
Yes, because when this activity was opened last year, the president said that this is just the first, and therefore there will be a lot of bilateral and probably even multilateral activities later on, because right now we are in the process of crafting the reciprocal access agreement with the Japanese government so that will also give us a legal basis in the conduct of similar activities to what we are conducting with the United States and Australia. So, and of course, there are other countries that are also interested in joining us in the conduct of maritime patrol, because this promotes actually a regional peace and stability based on international law, because what we are doing are all in support of rules-based international order.
Colonel, baka sa susunod na civilian convoy, kasama na rin yung
Aircraft carrier.
Diba? Yung joint patrols, di ba? Para hindi tayo ma-intimidate pagka may shadowing ng Chinese Navy.
Colonel, meron bang, apart from the shadowing of the Chinese Navy, was there any specific, I don't know, press con or media that the Chinese state has said regarding these latest joint patrols? Have they said anything that this is again provoking or?
Don't listen to them because what they are saying is not true. The video speaks clearly what is happening on the ground. So they cannot change the narrative, or they cannot just come up with new narrative if the videos that we are showing, the photos that we are presenting, speaks for themselves, and they do not lie. And what is in there is that it's them that is actually doing provocative actions, such as what you mentioned, the shadowing, the dangerous maneuvers, the use of water cannons, and even this laser pointer. So for us, we are just invoking our rights because this is in adherence to existing international laws such as the UNCLOS, and all our actions are guided by conventions such as the COLREG. So we are not afraid of anything, and that also says that that's also the reason why from the position that we have taken, we are being supported by many countries, unlike them.
Alright, huling tanong na lang, Colonel, before ka namin pakawalan, no? Pwede rin ba namin ma-confirm lamang tong mga reports, Colonel, that the AFP has in fact acquired the HIMARS missile system from the United States? And if so, if yes, saan po ito ide-deploy?
I still have to ask specific details from our headquarters because I'm still here away from my office, and just probably I'll just tell you back when I have the details already.
Alright, asahan namin yan, Colonel. Maraming salamat po sa oras niyo ngayong gabi. Thank you so much, AFP Spokesperson Colonel Medel Aguilar.
Pausing for a quick break right after that. The Commission on Higher Education directs all state and local universities to stop offering senior high school programs for the upcoming academic year 2024 to 2025. The details when we return. Keep it here on One News.
This is still the big story here on One News. The Commission on Higher Education has ordered all state and local universities and colleges to discontinue their senior high school programs beginning this coming school year 2024 to 2025. In a memo, CHED says the engagement of state and local universities in basic education through the senior high school program is only limited to the K-12 transition period from school years 2016 to 2021. CHED Chairman Prospero de Vera says the Education Department has likewise issued a notice to discontinue any government assistance to private school students and teachers who move to SUCs and LUCs for senior high. The exception to this are grade 12 students in the current school year 2023 to 2024 so that they can finish their basic education. State and local universities, though, may still accept students for their laboratory schools, but they will no longer receive vouchers.
That is the problem of the school because they should have stopped it in 2021. If they still accepted students, grade 11 students, this school year, these students will not get any voucher from DepEd anymore. So the Board of Regents has to decide, how do we pay for the cost of these students? That's not for CHED to decide. That's a responsibility and accountability of the Board of Regents.
Now, with the CHED's announcement, some parents of incoming senior high school students are worried that their children will not be able to get quality and affordable education in preparation for college. Elaine Fulgencio got to speak with one of them earlier. Elaine, what do you have for us?
Danny, we were able to speak with Nanay Leticia, who fears that her child will not be able to get good senior high school education amid the CHED's reminder for local and state universities to discontinue offering the program. Nanay Leticia described this as a huge loss, especially with her child about to enter senior high school this upcoming school year. Nanay Leticia says the vouchers or the free tuition provided to students are a huge help for low-income families like theirs, especially since the state universities typically have better facilities. She says it's the best way for her child to get quality education despite their having a small income from selling fish balls.
Hindi ko na kaya, nak. Kasi ito lang hanap buhay ko eh. Inagapan ko po yan na makapag-aral talaga siya kasi pagtapusin ko talaga siya, gagawin ko talaga ang lahat, makapagtapos lang siya.
But CHED Chairman De Vera defended their move, noting that CHED has been reminding local and state universities over the past 2 years to already wind down their senior high school enrollment. He notes that there is no longer any legal basis for such universities to continue accepting high school students. De Vera says universities should only be offering degree programs for higher education. Danny?
Thanks for that report, Elaine Fulgencio. We are now a couple of days into 2024, but the cases of firework-related injuries are still on the rise. There are now 557 reported cases as of today. This is the highest since 2017, where 469 cases were logged. Now with this, the Department of Health hopes to log fewer cases of firecracker-related injuries beginning this year.
Wala namang problema, sana mag-celebrate, pero sana community fireworks display na lang. Something that we want to work on in the coming Christmas 2024 and New Year 2025. We have 1 year ahead of us.
Akala natin natututo na yung mga tao, ano? Pero bigla na lang tumaas ulit, bumulusok right after the pandemic.
Yung isa pa dyan, Gretch, no? Yung parang yung quality rin kasi ng fireworks na nabibili natin.
Tama.
Hindi natin sure if minsan may sticker ng DTI, approved daw, pero hindi.
Minsan hindi gumagana,
Hindi
it blows
gumagana.
up.
Nakakatakot siya.
But what's alarming for me is the number of injuries from stray bullets. Latest count from PNP is at 12.
Yeah, yun ang pwede bang itigilan natin yan.
Oo nga eh. Apparently, people were more excited to have firecrackers, fireworks this year. They're also pushing, at least the DOH is saying, maybe you can have community fireworks na lang instead of individuals.
Matagal na yan sa
Yeah,
local
diba?
governments, di ba?
Sinaunang panahon pa. Yan na yung suggestion.
Pero parang that makes more sense,
It
diba?
does make more sense kasi usually
kawawa
pag
naman yung mga
centralized,
children.
mas
Although,
maganda rin eh.
Tinatanong ko
Mas malaki.
yung driver ko, tinatanong ko, sabi ko, may nagpapaputok ba sa inyo? Kasi may batasan siya eh. Sabi nako, pag nagsimula na yung mga paputok during New Year, di mo na mapigilan yan. Wala na rin lumalabas. I guess it's also
It's
a
so
matter of
dirty.
enforcement.
Yeah.
Diba? Even if the local governments will try to have it in one place, a safer
Talagang may
place.
pasaway.
Maraming ganun, lalo-lalo na syempre. Pagkatapos nga naman ng pandemic, how many years that we have been locked down, right? But this reminds us of the injuries that can be caused if we do not
But
Apparently, hindi lang
vendors na
yeah.
dapat
Hindi rin-
habulin, diba?
Dapat
The
habulin ng
illegal
LTI.
vendors.
Nagmura rin kasi ang presyo.
Nagmura
yung
siya,
material, yung
nakakatakot.
paggawa ng fireworks.
Talaga ba?
Right. So, bukod pa dun sa nasabugan, di ba, natamaan ng stray bullets, meron din daw tetano. According to the DOH, yung mga may open wounds should avoid contact with yung firecracker powder because nakakalason nga rin yun pag nakain mo.
And meron daw, as you mentioned, part of the materials can be manure, from animals. So pag sumabog daw, you can get bacteria if you have open wounds.
Totoo ba?
Yes.
Ngayon ko lang narinig yun.
Yes, di ba yung manure, may
That's the
methane
DOH,
yun, so
that's from
lumiliyab
the
talaga
DOH,
yun.
Ano.
Lumiliyab
But
ang
what's sad is that the youngest victim seems to be a 10-month-old boy from NCR
Yan
with
yung
a
natamaan
right
ng
eye
kuitis.
injury from
Kawawa
Cuitis.
naman.
And the oldest, a 77-year-old man from Ilocos, injury from whistle bomb. Now we talk about this just to remind everyone.
Every
All
year.
right.
It could be one of you, diba?
Of the
You never
lessons
know.
learned that we have this year in, year out. Hopefully we have less.
Tsaka yung malupit doon, yung natamaan mo yung walang kamuwang-muwang na baby na, alam mo yun, inosente.
Hindi,
Siguro
kaya nga
may
ako
stray
pagka-
cuitis.
Pagka nagyayaya yung iba na manood ng fireworks, lagi ko iniisip na baka may stray bullet na
For
tumama.
sure. Or even the driving home, diba? Nakakatakot. Or
Bukod
the
pa
drunk
dyan,
driving.
yung mga aso ko, ayaw na ayaw talaga nila.
Oo, kawawa
Kaya kami
naman.
turotot na lang tsaka ano yun.
Noisemakers na lang.
Now over in Western Visayas, a power outage welcomed residents this new year. This is after several plants in Panay Island went on an emergency shutdown, forcing power interruptions with over 450 megawatts of supply lost. The NGCP said it is working to restore power supply to major cities and provinces in the region. However, the agency said this may prove to be a challenge with the lack of backup power sources on Panay Island. The NGCP also explained that they cannot simply source from Negros Island, which relies mostly on solar power.
You're not supposed to rely on imports from other islands. Pero importante pa rin ng interconnection kasi that will provide stability kung meron ngang mga ganitong pipiyok-piyok na incidents.
Up next, we'll talk about cycling and how the biking community is opening new doors for inclusivity and bayanihan. We'll be speaking with cycling advocate Buji Babiera. When the big story returns, keep it here on One News.
still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Over the past few years, we've seen more bikers on the roads here in Metro Manila. At isa na nga ako dyan. Pero ngayon, lately, parang hindi kaya kasi pawis-mawis na pagdating sa trabaho, di ba? So, nasa kotse na tayo. But of course, the Philippines is not known for having bike-friendly roads. Alam din natin yan. Kaya naman ako ay pang-workout madalas pag weekend warrior ako.
At kaya hindi ako nagbabike. Nakakatakot, guys.
That's why there have been moves to improve our roads to ensure the safety of bikers. Now, who better to talk to than Buji Babiera, known as First Bike Ride on Facebook, who joins us live now in the studio. Now, Buji is a cycling mobility advocate who recently won the Notable Storyteller Award at the 2023 National Bike Day Awards. You've probably seen his content gone viral under First Bike Ride. And what a privilege to have you here. It's not seeing you in a bike outfit today.
Nakikita ko sila ng
helmet.
Buti nga nakilala mo siya eh, na hindi naka-bike outfit, di ba?
Formal.
Congratulations sa'yo. First Bike Ride. Tell us the story of your first bike ride.
Well, my first bike ride is during the pandemic. We were bored, we were stuck at home. So a friend of mine, a photographer, si Jilson Chu, invited me to ride the bike. Sabi niya, I have an extra bike. Come join me. Sabi ko, no, I don't want. Delikado sa Metro Manila. Sabi niya, what delikado? Parang wala namang sasakyan ngayon. Parang it's the pandemic. So sabi ko, sige na nga, I'll try it. So my first bike ride is his bamboo bicycle from Binondo to Pasay. Tapos Pasay,
The Bam Brian.
yeah,
Bigat.
bike.
Yeah.
Mabigat.
Ang hirap niya, ha?
Super bigat.
Ang
Pero,
bigat niya.
but I had this feeling of freedom, ganyan. So, ilang araw after nun, bumili na ako ng sarili kong bike. Tapos
So, pandemic ka nung
Nabudol ka
nag-start?
na.
yeah,
Nabudol.
regular biking, yes, during the pandemic. Tapos yung first bike ride ko with my own bike, Manila to Quezon City to Marikina, then back to Manila. Tapos sabi ko, uy, parang ang sarap mag-encourage ng more people na mag-bike. Parang this is a sustainable way of transportation.
Pero
Especially-
anong na-feel mo, no, Buji, nung nagsimula na mag-open up yung economy? It's dumadami na ulit yung kotse. I'm sure sobrang iba yun from the pandemic experience.
Of course.
Safe pa rin ba yung EDSA lanes?
Well, in fairness, sa EDSA, there are many protected bike lanes.
Okay.
So that's pretty...
And people follow the rules naman.
EDSA is
Yeah.
actually the safest. You'd be
Okay.
surprised.
Correct.
Dito lang siya.
Pero yung mga either roads ako din mahirap. When the cars are started going back on our roads, nako, grabe. Parang sabi ko,
di ba?
yeah, sabi ko, ang swerte ko na I gained my confidence during the time where there are less cars on the road. Pero I would imagine yung mga baguhan ngayon, medyo struggle talaga.
How many days a week do you bike?
Ngayon, I'm a regular bike commuter talaga. So,
Okay.
syempre, I move na to Makati where everything's like near. So, bike ako everyday going to to places. Pero pag malayo, kaya may bit-bit ako, yan. Sometimes I use public transport, I ride a motorbike, ganyan.
Can you enlighten us on which areas are the best places to bike in the metro? Kasi I did with Mayor Joy. Alam
Yeah.
ko merong sa
Sa Quezon
QC,
City,
maayos
flat boxes.
doon. Pero
Yes.
Makati,
Already.
how is it? Is it getting better? Are there bike lanes? Are there specific cities na medyo known for
Well,
biking?
For me, I think Quezon City is the place where
Talagang-
parang improving talaga yung bicycle infrastructure nila. Well, Makati is doing better pa din. Well, the Ayala area is pretty bikeable. Pero yung outside of it, unti-unti, nagkakaroon ng mga protected bike lanes. Like, halimbawa sa Buendia, kaka-install lang.
Talaga ba?
December, I think, kaya kaka-install.
Di ba naging issue yung sharrows? Yung
Yes,
parang shared
oo.
lanes
Correct,
between,
yeah.
ano yung cars or
And bikes?
motorcycles?
Motorcycles and bikes.
No, yeah.
Natuloy ba yun?
Ewan. No,
May
yun.
pinotesta kasi yun eh.
Correct. So, nangyari noon, I think it was around March last year. Nag-announce na tatanggalin na yung protected bike lane sa Ayala. Eh kami parang, no, hindi pwede.
Pero
Parang-
nagkakilos protesta.
Correct. We
Oo.
started this kind of movement na nag-ano talaga kami, parang we mobilized people na parang, hey, let's
Oo, nagka-rally.
protest. Yeah, tapos parang after, hindi natuloy.
So, nakinig naman.
Nakinig
Nabalik
naman.
naman. Oo,
Nabalik.
kasi why move
Tapos,
backward?
after a few conversations, numipis, pero at least protected
Meron
pa
pa
din.
rin.
Buji, balikan natin tong award mo, no? Obviously, biker ka. But you're also a storyteller and you won the Storyteller Award. Ano ba yung background mo At bakit ang ganda ng content mo at nanalo siya?
So I used to write for newspapers and magazines.
Okay.
And usually ang sinusulat ko is art and travel. When the pandemic came, nawala yung travel. So basically, wala na ako ng work. Sabi ko, mga 3 months lang itong pandemic na to. Ganyan, mga 4 months lang ito, babalik na rin yung ano. Pero di ba hindi, nag-extend siya. Sabi ko, baka mangalawang yung skill ko with storytelling. So kailangan kong magsulat ulit. Sabi ko, anong gagawin ko? Wala namang dyaryo, walang magazine. So I started my own. Andyan yung Facebook, andyan yung Instagram. I started first bike rides. Parang yun na yung sabi ko. Sige, sulat ako ng feature stories. Yan.
And is this a sustainable livelihood for you? Something you wanna continue for a long time?
Well, from time to time, I get partnerships. Pero it's really an advocacy endeavor talaga. I'm just really happy telling stories and perhaps inspiring other people with stories that I get to see on the road.
So paano yun? Pagka nagbabike ka, may makikita ka, tapos it'll just hit you sometimes na, okay, I'm gonna do content about this story. And
So-
in having said that, I wanted to ask you, ano yung most touching thing that you saw while you were biking?
So, when you're biking kasi, you see everything, you feel everything, and it's really easy to stop. You know, kapag nagda-drive ka kasi, parang, ang hirap naman nahihinto ka, di ba? Tapos parang obstruction ka na with everyone. So, I guess, being part of the journalism industry, parang nandun yung yung sense na, ay, storya to. Ay, parang this is a good story to tell. So, madami akong nakikitang ganon. And recently, I guess, and the most viral story that I had is this story of a father cycling sa Mabini Bridge with his 2 sons, si Tatay Romy. Grabe talaga. As in, parang in a span of 1 hour, 10,000 shares. Parang, kwento ko lang konti
Sige, please, for those na not familiar.
So si Tatay Romy, nakita ko lang siya, sabi ko, uy, amazing, may 2 bata siyang nakasabit sa bike. Usually kasi isa lang yung nakaupo eh. Sabi ko, I wanna see his setup as a biker. Parang, paano kaya niya ginawa ng upuan to? Tapos pagkita ko, 2. Tapos tinanong ko siya, saan pa kayo galing, Tay? It's in Mabini Bridge sa Manila. Sabi niya, galing pa akong Paranaque. Sabi ko, oh no. Wait lang Paranaque, that's like 20 plus kilometers away from here. Tapos sabi ko, ano pong ginagawa niyo dito? Tapos sabi niya, nagbike daw siya 6 a.m., dumating siya doon 10:30 a.m. para humingi ng tulong sa charity. Para humingi ng bigas, tsaka konting pagkain. Tapos, hindi siya umabot sa cut-off. Tapos babalik siya sa bahay niya na parang gutom, walang kinain yung anak niya.
So sad.
So, yeah, it's so sad.
Okay, nabigyan mo siya ng e-bike.
Nabigyan ko siya ng e-bike.
Ano yan, donasyon ng mga netizens?
Donations ng mga netizens. Parang, parang they started saying na, magano tayo, gawa kayo ng donation drive and everything. So, parang I felt responsible na parang, sige, start natin to, tulungan natin si Tatay Romy. Tapos, ang dami talaga ng tulong umabot. Until
Magkano
now,
yung e-bike na? Magkano? Kasi namibigay din ako ng bisikleta,
kasi pareho
di ba?
nga kayo ng namimigay ng bisikleta.
Yung e-vehicle na binigay ko sa kanya, it's a 4-wheel vehicle. Kasi nakwento ni Tatay Romy na gusto daw niyang magnegosyo. And parang at least yun, pwede niyang i-store yung mga isda na pwede niyang i-buy and sell.
Ano yung original livelihood niya? Sorry.
Welder siya.
Welder. Okay.
Tapos
Tapos
nagka-car
gusto
wash siya.
Okay, gusto
Tapos,
magnegosyo.
kaya lang ngayon hindi na niya kaya kasi matanda na siya. He has 2 kids, 2 naalagaan niya. And minsan dinadala niya kasi yung mga bata sa construction site, which is very dangerous. So hindi siya nakakuha ng employer.
Magkano yung e-bike?
Around 80,000
Grabe.
80.
Hindi, kasi
Okay, so I'm assuming you raised more than that.
meron
Yeah,
kaming
yeah,
nabigyan ng ganyan din. Parang may dala-dala yung anak. Pero trike, pedicab,
Tricycle,
ganun na nabigay namin.
Panghanap
Kasi nga,
buhay.
ang mahal eh.
Medyo
Mga
mahal.
30,000 yung trike na yun. Kaya I was wondering, when I saw your post, parang magkano kaya yun?
Kasi sobrang viral nung post kahit Manila yung binigay per person.
I could relate to him because that was how I also raised funds for over 1,000 bicycles with stories gone viral on the internet. Magugulat ka, ang daming gusto mag-donate. Oo.
Correct.
Pero what I also saw was that the problem is bigger than the individual commuter. I mean, it's one thing to put a person on a bike and another thing to get him to ride it. And dito natin nakikita kung gaano kahalaga yung transportation system.
Yeah, correct.
How is the transportation system now after the pandemic? Do you think it has regressed? Because there were gains during the pandemic. Nakita natin, nagkaroon ng bike lanes.
Correct.
Pero ngayon, kamusta na? Are people still riding their bikes? Are bike lanes still being respected? Ano yung mga observations mo?
Well, it's definitely more difficult now to ride the bike because of, it gets more dangerous, I would say. Pero recently, naglabas yung SWS survey na mas dumami yung bike owners in the Philippines. So I guess biking still remains, but going back to the transportation in general, I think it gets more expensive right now. More people will opt to ride their private vehicles ngayon kasi nga walang parang ang hirap talaga ng public transport ngayon. I mean, I guess you've heard about so many transport issues now with the jeepneys, with the trains, and everything. So parang mas mahirap.
Kapag nawala yung jeep, baka mag-bike na.
Oo, yeah.
Baka lumipat nun.
Pero you're a mobility advocate, Buji. Where are you taking your advocacy? And exactly, what is the main point of your advocacy? And where would you like to see it go?
I just want Filipinos to be able to move with decency. In not just in Metro Manila but around the Philippines. Yung tipong hindi na sila pipila ng mahaba, hindi na sila magbabayad ng sobrang mahal na pamasahe para sa sobrang parang low quality na transportation, correct. Yeah. So sana mas maayos yung public transport para kasi the way we move, importante yun eh.
Have another option.
Well, definitely your work has contributed to gaining respect for the bikers who are vulnerable on the road. Dahil
Exposing
Salamat.
problems.
kasi pag nakikita yung mga bikers, iniisip lang, ay naku, ano yan eh, peste yan sa daan eh.
Dapat hindi
Pero
sila
dahil
ngayon may
binibigyan mo
right
ng
of way
mukha,
dapat.
pinapakita mo yung kwento ng mga nagko-commute, na-humanize sila.
Tama.
Nakikilala
Thank
natin
you.
sila. So keep on doing your
Salamat.
stories.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me share my story here. Salamat.
Of course, we all love good stories here. That's why we're all here. The
The big story. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Cycling and mobility advocate Buji Babiera, first bike ride.
On to sports, some big news for Philippine basketball. Former NBA player Dwight Howard is set to beef up Philippine side's strong group in the Dubai International Tournament that is set later this month. The three-time Defensive Player of the Year and one-time NBA champion is set to join former Gilas Pilipinas naturalized player Andre Blatch and ex-Oklahoma City Thunder guard Andre Robertson as the team's reinforcements. Howard previously played for the Taoyuan Leopards in Taiwan's T1 League. Now, according to Strong Group head coach Charles Tew, the three former NBA veterans are scheduled to arrive in the country this weekend as they begin their preparations for that tournament.
And before we go, time now for our big picture tonight. Speaking of things we haven't seen since before COVID, what you are seeing right now is the first day of the replica and estandarte blessing of the Black Nazarene. Catholic devotees have begun to parade images of the Black Nazarene along Carriedo Street in Manila to receive blessings at the Quiapo Church. The two-day blessing will be held until tomorrow, January 4. Many devotees are expected to flock to the area ahead of the Feast of the Black Nazarene on January 9. That's already this Saturday. This Monday, not Saturday, because the Nazareno is always on a Monday. And around 2 million people are expected to participate in the event. And to ensure the safety of the activities, the PNP said around 15,000 police personnel will be deployed. Being flashed on your screens now is what the 2024 Traslacion route will look like come this weekend. So yun nga, first Nazareno to, medyo scary din. Are you planning to go? Bike around? Maybe?
Biking sa
For the longest time, parang
Around the area. Very, very around.
Parang I'm getting invitations from my photographer friends to take
Sila
photos.
Gilson.
Sila Gilson.
Parang ganyan.
Efficient nga na may
Mas
bike.
madaling magkumilos kasi nakabike na.
Talaga ba?
Oo may
Pero-
parang protection mo yun eh. Di
Pero
ba?
ano nag-shoot ako isang beses eh. Siguro 10 years ago. Iba rin yung feeling. Parang, di ko alam kung gusto ko pang ulitin.
Oo, ganon.
Pero sinasabi
Akala ko
nila,
exciting
baka
feeling.
lalagyan daw nila ng glass eh. Yun yung parang pinag-uusapan ngayon.
So hindi na pwede magpunas na.
Yun.
Teka, paano
Baka
yun, no?
mabasag daw. So yun pa, I think
Because of
there are discussions on that.
COVID?
Maybe
Ano?
COVID, maybe to protect the imahen.
Because it is also the first time after 3 years that we're having this again, traslasyon. So expect heavy traffic in that area. Better
Lots
be
of
prepared.
traffic rerouting. And I guess walang pasok yung City of Manila.
Mag-bike na sila.
Mag-bike
During
na
that
lang.
day.
Totoo, no? Just avoid the route. That's it for the show on this Wednesday night.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.